The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galaxy 7. Summit Station stretched before Admiral Park Minjun like a vast amphitheater of steel and light. Representatives from 7 major civilizations filled the curved seats, their varied forms, creating a tapestry of alien life. Park stood at the central platform, his dark uniform crisp and formal, while holographic displays floated in the air around him. This was humanity's moment. After 50 years of being the newest and weakest members of the galactic community, humans finally had something worth showing. Park could feel the weight of billions of hopes pressing down on his shoulders. The assembly waited with polite but distant interest. Most species viewed humans as creative, but limited. Earth's technology always seemed rough and simple compared to the elegant solutions of older civilizations. The Vorling technocracy had energy systems that could power entire planets. The Kryn Dominion built warships that could shatter moons. What could humans possibly offer that would matter? Park activated the main display. A massive hologram materialized above the platform, showing a sleek vessel unlike any ship in the known galaxy. Its hull curved in impossible ways, and strain energy field rippled across its surface like water. Honored representatives, Park began, his voice steady and clear. I present the Paradox-class fleet, humanity's contribution to galactic defense. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some delegates leaned forward with curiosity. Others whispered to their aides. The hologram rotated, showing the ship from every angle. Its design defied conventional engineering. Where other ships had obvious engine ports and weapon arrays, this vessel seemed almost organic in its smooth construction. High Engineer Zelthax of the Vorling technocracy stood up, his forearms gesturing at the display. His crystalline body caught the light as he spoke. Admiral Park, these specifications cannot be correct. Your display shows faster than light travel without hyperspace gates. That violates basic physics. Park nodded calmly. I understand your concern, High Engineer. Please continue reviewing the technical data. Zelthax's aide handed him a data tablet. The engineer's eyes widened as he read. His voice rose in pitch. This is worse than I thought. Your shields allegedly grow stronger when attacked. Your engines produce more energy than they consume. These things are impossible. Laughter began to spread through the assembly, not cruel laughter, but the kind directed at a child who claims to have built a flying machine from cardboard. Several delegates shook their heads, clearly thinking this was some kind of mistake or misunderstanding. Ambassador Chen Jaiwu standing beside Park stepped forward. Her diplomatic training kept her expression neutral, but Park could see tension in her shoulders. Representatives, please. The specifications are accurate. We have double-checked every detail. A delegate from the Kryn Dominion rose, his massive frame towering over his seat. Humans, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but this is embarrassing. These designs violate thermodynamics. They break causality. Ships like this cannot exist in our universe. Other voices joined in agreement. The polite interest from earlier turned into dismissive certainty. Humans had made a mistake. Perhaps their scientists had miscalculated. Maybe their translation software had errors. Either way, these ships were fantasy, not reality. Park let the noise wash over him for a moment, then he raised his hand for Silent, the gesture was simple, but something in his manner made the assembly quiet down. Representatives, Park said quietly. Paradox-class fleet is not theoretical. It is not a proposal. These ships already exist. They are already operational at this moment. 12 Paradox-class vessels wait at the edge of this system. The silence that followed was total and absolute. Delegates stared at Park as if he had claimed to be a god. Zelthax dropped his data tablet, the device clattering on the floor. That is not possible, Zelthax said, but his voice had lost its certainty. Park met his gaze steadily. I'm prepared to demonstrate, however I suggest the Council review our complete technical documentation first. Understanding the principles involved will help you appreciate what you see. Council Prime Thexar, the ancient Athathuran mediator, activated his speaking platform. His voice carried the weight of 10,000 years of experience. This is a serious claim, Admiral Park. If true, it represents a fundamental shift in our understanding of physics. If false, it represents a dangerous fraud. I understand completely, Council Prime, Park replied. I invite the strictest scrutiny. A Kryn military commander stood abruptly, his voice sharp with accusation. This is more than fraud. If humans truly built such ships, they are using reality manipulation technology that is forbidden under galactic law. Such powers could unravel the fabric of space itself. Alarm spread through the assembly like fire through dry grass. Reality manipulation was the ultimate taboo. Ancient civilizations had tried to alter the fundamental laws of physics, and the results had been catastrophic. Entire star systems had vanished. The galaxy still bore scars from those experiments. Park raised his hands, trying to calm the rising panic. We are not manipulating reality. We are working within physical laws, just using principles that others have not explored. You ask us to believe you have rewritten physics, another delegate shouted. No, Park said firmly, we ask you to believe that physics has more possibilities than anyone realized. The CR commander pointed at Park accusingly. I move for an emergency investigation. Humans must prove these ships exist, explain how they work, and submit to full technological review. If they refuse, I propose immediate sanctions. The Zallar's voice cut through the chaos. The motion is recognized. We will form an investigative committee immediately. Admiral Park, you and your team will cooperate fully with this investigation. Of course, Council Prime, Park agreed. As the assembly dissolved into urgent discussions and emergency motions, Park and Chen retreated to a side chamber. Chen collapsed into a chair, her diplomatic composure finally cracking. That went badly, she said. Park nodded. It went exactly as we expected. Fear first, question second, understanding third. A message chimed on Park's communicator. He read it, and his expression tightened. Chen saw the change. What is it? Message from Earth. Political pressure is building. Anti-human factions in several civilizations are demanding action. We need to complete the demonstration soon, or they will force us to dismantle the fleet. Chen stood up, anger flashing in her eyes. They cannot force us to destroy our own ships. They can blockade Earth. They can cut trade routes. They can make life very difficult. Park looked at the message again. We have maybe a week before this turns into a Real crisis. The door chimed. A security officer entered. Admiral High Engineer. Zelthax has requested access to your technical data. He is assembling a team of scientists to review everything. Park nodded. Grant him full access. Make sure he has everything he asks for. After the officer left, Chen looked at Park with concern. Are you sure? Zelthax seemed hostile out there. He was afraid. Park corrected. There is a difference. Let him see the truth. Let all of them see it. He smiled slightly. Besides, the real demonstration will answer questions that words cannot. In another part of the station, Zelthax sat in a laboratory surrounded by data screens. His team of scientists worked frantically analyzing the human technical specifications. The more they read, the more confused they became. The human design should not work. Every established principle of physics said these ships were impossible, yet the mathematics checked out. The engineering made sense. The humans had somehow found loopholes in reality itself. Zelthax felt something he rarely experienced, genuine fear. If humans could build impossible ships, what else might they build? What other rules might they break? The universe had laws for good reasons. Breaking those laws had consequences. His assistant approached nervously. High Engineer, I have completed the energy consumption analysis. The numbers are confirmed. These engines truly produce more output than input. Zelthax looked at the data, hoping to find an error. There was none. Impossible, he whispered, but the evidence said otherwise. Somewhere at the edge of the system, 12 ships waited in silent formation. Their crews watched the distant station and prepared for what would come next. They knew the demonstration would change everything. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Li Haiyan Wu studied his orders. Show the galaxy what humanity had built. Prove the impossible was real. Do it without starting a war. Li smiled grimly. Just another day in the human fleet. The secure research facility occupied an entire section of the summit station. Scientists from all 7 civilizations gathered around holographic displays, their faces showing mixtures of confusion, disbelief, and growing alarm. High Engineer Zelthax stood at the center, his crystalline form reflecting the glow of data screens. Dr. Han Su-jin walked into the room with quiet confidence. She carried no notes, no devices. Everything she needed was in her mind. As the chief engineer of the Paradox class project, she had lived and breathed this technology for 15 years. Thank you for coming, Dr. Han, Zelthax said stiffly. We have reviewed your technical documentation. Nothing makes sense. Perhaps you can explain how you built ships that violate the laws of physics. Han smiled slightly. We did not violate anything, High Engineer. We simply stopped accepting limits that others assumed were absolute. She activated the central display. A schematic of the Paradox class engine appeared, rotating slowly. Let me start with what you call our impossible engine. You say it produces more energy than it consumes. That should break conservation of energy, but it does not. A CR scientist interrupted. The readings clearly show output exceeding input. That is the definition of perpetual motion. It cannot exist. You are correct that perpetual motion cannot exist. Han agreed. Our engines are not perpetual motion devices. They tap into zero-point energy through precisely timed quantum fluctuations. Zelthax made a dismissive gesture. 0-point energy extraction is theoretical. At best, the energy required to access it exceeds what you could possibly gain. That was the conventional wisdom, yes. Han said patiently, but conventional. Wisdom assumed we would try to access point energy continuously. We do not. Our engines pulse in exact synchronization with quantum foam. Fluctuations, we borrow energy at moments when the universe essentially is not watching closely. She brought up new diagrams showing timing mechanisms, measured in fractions of nancons. The precision required was staggering. One scientist whistled softly despite herself. This level of timing precision is impossible to maintain. A Vorn engineer protested. It was impossible. Han corrected, until we developed quantum processors that operate outside normal time flow. They adjust timing faster than causality can propagate. The room fell silent. What Han described was not impossible in theory, but the engineering challenges were so enormous that every civilization had dismissed it as impractical centuries ago. Zelthax studied the diagrams with new attention. Even if this works, the energy requirements for your faster-than-light system are beyond any known power source. Han nodded, which is why we needed the zero-point engines first. Now, regarding FTL travel without hyperspace gates, she changed the display again. We do not break the light speed barrier. We redefine what local space means. Explain, Thexler commanded. The council Prime had joined the review session, concerned about what the scientists were discovering. Hyperspace gates work by creating tunnels through higher dimensions, Han said, but they require massive permanent installations. We asked a different question. What if we could make a ship create its own temporary gate? She showed animations of space folding around a ship. We generate a quantum field that convinces local space it is somewhere else. From outside, the ship disappears and reappears instantly. From inside, we simply move normally through the field. Bubble, a young Etherium scientist, spoke up excitedly. The spatial uncertainty principle. You are exploiting quantum indeterminacy on a macro scale. Exactly, Han said. Pleased, most species focused on making technology more certain, more predictable. Humans went the opposite direction. We built technology that uses uncertainty as a feature, not a flaw. Zelthax was beginning to understand, and it disturbed him deeply. Your shields that grow stronger under attack. Let me guess, they redirect incoming energy through quantum entanglement. Han smiled. Very good, high engineer. Every shield generator is entangled with a network of zero-point reservoirs. When energy hits our shields, it does not dissipate, it gets stored. The more you shoot at us, the stronger our shields become until you reach maximum capacity, a Kryn engineer said. True, Han admitted, but our maximum capacity is very high, and we can dump excess energy back into our weapons or engines. Nothing is wasted. The room buzzed with conversation. Scientists argued, calculated, and debated. The human technology was not impossible. It was merely improbable, impractical, and incredibly difficult, but it was real. Zelthax raised his voice for silence. Dr. Han, I must ask a question that concerns all of us. Why did humanity pursue these technologies? Every civilization in this room explored similar theoretical paths. All of us decided the risk and difficulty were too Great, why did humans continue? Hands. Expression became serious, because we had to. High engineer, may I speak? Frankly, please do. Your species, the Vorn, have been spacefaring for 20,000 years, the Kryn for 30,000. You have had time to develop technology. Slowly and safely, humanity joined galactic society 50 years ago. We were so far behind that conventional advancement would take millennia to catch up. She looked around the room at all the alien scientists. We did not have millennia, we had decades, so we took risks you would never take. We pursued research you abandoned. We accepted failure rates that would make you quit. Out of 1,000 experimental approaches, 999 failed, but we kept trying because we had no choice. A Vorn scientist spoke quietly. You were desperate. We were determined. Han corrected firmly. There is a difference. Desperation makes you sloppy. Determination makes you careful with what matters. Every human scientist working on Paradox class knew the risks. We accepted them because the alternative was remaining weak forever. The Zeller studied Han with his ancient eyes. You say you accepted failure. How many researchers died during development? Han's face showed pain. 47, mostly. Early prototype testing. Each death made us more careful, not less ambitious. We learned from every failure. The room grew uncomfortable. Most advanced civilizations had not suffered research casualties in centuries. Safety protocols prevented such tragedies, but safety protocols also prevented breakthrough innovation. Zelthax pulled up another file and his expression darkened. Dr. Han, there is a weapon system listed in your documentation. Quantum disruptors. You have not explained these. Han hesitated for the first time. That system is classified. Not anymore, Thexar said firmly. If humans have weapons that match the impossibility of your other systems, the Council must know. Han looked at Admiral Park, who had entered quietly during the discussion. Park nodded once. Permission granted. Quantum disruptors create temporary micro-singularities, Han said quietly. In theory, they could tear holes in space itself. Horror spread through the scientists. Several backed away from the display, as if the mere diagram could hurt them. You built weapons that could destroy reality. Zelthax's voice shook with rage and fear. We built weapons that could. Han emphasized past tense. We tested them in isolated pocket dimensions. We learned how they work. We learned their limits, and we learned how to control them. That knowledge makes us safer, not more dangerous. A Kryn general who had been observing spoke up angrily. You admit to researching forbidden technology. Reality manipulation weapons are banned under galactic law. Park stepped forward. We are not manipulating reality, General. We are using physics that already exists. There is a difference between discovering dangerous forces and creating them. A distinction without meaning, the General shouted. You have built weapons that should not exist. We built weapons that we needed to understand, Park replied calmly, because if we could theorize them, so could others. Would you prefer we remained ignorant? If an enemy develops similar weapons, would you want us defenseless? Theixler raised a hand for silence. Admiral Park raises a valid point. However, the Council cannot ignore that humans possess technology that frightens even our most advanced scientists. We must suspend this session while the Full Council considers these revelations as the scientists filed out, many giving Han and Park suspicious or fearful. Looks Zeltax approached them. Dr. Han, I owe you an apology. I called your work impossible. I was wrong. It is merely terrifying. Han met his gaze. High engineer, every major technology was once terrifying. Fire, nuclear power, artificial intelligence. Humans learn to master each one, not because we are brave, but because we are stubborn. After everyone else had left, Park and Han stood alone in the empty facility. That could have gone better, Han said. Quietly, Park shook his head. That went exactly as needed. Now they understand what we built. Tomorrow we show them why. The demonstration zone floated in empty space, far from any planets or stations. Hundreds of observation vessels formed a wide ring around the designated area. Media drones buzzed everywhere, broadcasting to billions across the galaxy. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for with either excitement or dread. Captain Li Haiyan Wu stood on the bridge of the HNS Perseverance, the lead ship of the Paradox-class fleet. Around him, his crew worked with practiced efficiency. Half were human, the other half were alien volunteers who had joined during the development program. They had seen these ships in action. During testing, they believed in the technology. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Li nodded. Open channel to Summit Station, Admiral. Park's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Li, you are cleared for demonstration. Show them what humanity built. Understood, Admiral. Beginning Test 1. Li turned to his navigator, a young woman named Kim Min. Prepare for spatial fold. Target coordinates Epsilon 7. Coordinates locked. Kim confirmed. Fold drive charging. On the observation vessel, scientists monitored every sensor they had. This was the moment of truth. Could human ships really travel faster than light? Without hyperspace gates, fold drive at full power, Kim announced, initiating 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Perseverance did not accelerate. It did not blur or fade. One instant it was there, and the next instant it simply was not. Every sensor in the observation fleet registered the same impossible reading. The ship had vanished without using hyperspace. It had not traveled through space. It had redefined where it was. 7 seconds later, the Perseverance reappeared on the far side of the system. The distance was 3 billion km. At light speed, the journey should have taken almost 3 hours. Ship had done it in 7 seconds without entering hyperspace. Silence filled the observation fleet. Then chaos erupted. Scientists shouted at their instruments, convinced there must be errors, but every sensor told the same story. Humans had just broken the fundamental rules of galactic travel. Zelthax, watching from his observation ship, felt his understanding of physics crumble. Impossible, he whispered, but he was watching it happen. Li allowed the observers 15 minutes to verify their readings. Then he initiated Test 2. All vessels, begin shield demonstration. He commanded. 6 observer ships moved forward. Weapons armed, these were controlled tests using measured firepower. Each ship represented a different civilization's weapon technology. They would fire on the Perseverance to test the shield claims. Shields to defensive configuration. Li ordered. Stand by to receive fire. The first observer ship fired an energy beam that could melt through standard military armor struck. The Perseverance's shields, the shields, glowed bright blue, every sensor watching expected to see the shield weaken. Instead they strengthened. The second ship fired, then the third. Each weapon hit made the shields brighter and more powerful. Energy readings showed the impossible. The shields were not depleting, they were charging. Shields at 130% base capacity. His shield officer reported calmly, all excess energy being stored in quantum reservoirs. Lee smiled. I think they understand. All observer ships cease fire. But something was wrong. The fourth observer ship was not standing down. It was a Kryn military vessel and it was charging weapons beyond the agreed test parameters. Sir, Kryn vessel is going to full combat power, his tactical officer warned. That is not part of the demonstration. Lee's expression hardened. Hail them, demand explanation. The Kryn commander appeared on screen, his face twisted with rage. I will not watch humans mock the natural order. Your ships are an abomination. You break reality itself, Commander. Stand down immediately, Lee commanded. You are not authorized for combat action. I am authorized by the universe itself, the Kryn commander shouted. Ships that should not exist must not exist. 4 more Kryn vessels decloaked around the demonstration zone. They had been hiding, waiting. This was a planned attack. Admiral Park's voice came over emergency channels. All units, this is not an authorized action. Kryn government is being contacted. Do not escalate. But the rogue Kryn ships opened fire. Full military power, not test weapons. Beams designed to destroy battleships hammered into the Perseverance. Lee gripped his command chair, shields holding shields at 180% and rising. His shield officer reported, voice steady despite the attack. They are literally charging our defenses. Return fire, Lee ordered. Disable only. I want their weapons offline, not their ships destroyed. Perseverance responded with precision that shocked everyone watching. Human weapons powered by the very energy the Kryn were throwing at them targeted the enemy ships with surgical accuracy. Weapon arrays exploded. Engine, the cells went dark. Within 2 minutes, all 5 Kryn attack ships were drifting, disabled but intact. The Kryn commander stared at his dead console in disbelief. How? We hit you with everything. Yes, you did, Lee said coldly. Thank you for the energy. Now sit quietly while real commanders sort out this mess. The observation fleet erupted in emergency transmissions. Kryn government immediately disavowed the rogue commander, claiming he had acted without orders. Other civilizations demanded emergency council sessions. Accusations flew in every direction. Had humans provoked this? Did they know the attack was coming? Were they showing mercy, or was the display of power a threat? Park coordinated with Ambassador Chen, managing the diplomatic explosion while the disabled cringe ships were secured. The political situation was spiraling out of control. On the Perseverance, Dr. Han contacted Lee on a private channel. Captain, we have a problem. We have many problems. Dr. Lee replied tiredly. This one is serious. Someone armed the quantum disruptors. Those weapons were supposed to remain locked during demonstration. Lee felt cold fear grip him. Who authorized that? No one. Someone accessed the weapon systems without clearance. The disruptors are active and ready to fire. Lee looked at his weapons console. There. It was previously hidden by standard systems, the quantum disruptor control. Glowing, ready and available. 1. Command could activate weapons that could tear reality apart. Lock them down immediately, Lee ordered. I am trying, someone did very sophisticated work, they wanted these weapons available before Lee could respond. Alarm shrieked across the bridge. The lead disabled Kryn ship was charging directly at the Perseverance. Its commander had reactivated emergency thrusters for a suicide ramming attack. Impact in 40 seconds, Tactical reported. Lee had split seconds to decide, use normal weapons and risk not stopping the massive Kryn vessel in time, or use the quantum disruptors and guarantee success, while demonstrating the most terrifying weapon humanity had built. His finger hovered over the quantum disruptor controls. The entire galaxy was watching. What he did next would define how civilizations viewed humanity. Forever, Captain, his weapons officer shouted orders. The Kryn ship grew larger on the view screen, accelerating toward them. 30 seconds to impact. Lee's mind raced. If he used the quantum disruptors, everyone would see their power they would know humans had. Weapons that could tear space. Fear and panic would multiply 1,000 times, but if he did not use them and the Perseverance was destroyed, humans would look weak, all their impossible technology would seem fragile. 20 seconds, Park's voice came through on emergency channel. Lee, whatever you are thinking, do not do it. Stand down all special weapons. That is a direct order. Lee's finger trembled over the control. The Kryn ship filled the entire view screen now. 10 seconds. His weapons officer looked at him desperately, waiting for orders that could save their lives. 5 seconds. Lee made his choice. At the last possible instant, the Kryn ship exploded, not from human weapons, but from its own government. A Kryn fleet command vessel had fired on its own ship to prevent the collision. Perseverance shook from the proximity of the explosion but remained undamaged. Lee fell back in his command chair, breathing hard. His finger had been 1 second from pressing the quantum disruptor trigger. Captain, are you all right? His first officer asked. Lee nodded slowly. Yes, but that was too close, much too close. On the summit station, Thexar called an emergency session. What we witnessed today changes everything. Humans possess technology that makes our greatest warship seem primitive. More concerning, they possess weapons that frighten their own captain. We must decide immediately. Do humans remain in Galaxy 7 or do they become a threat we must contain? The vote would determine humanity's future, and after what everyone had just witnessed, that future looked very uncertain. The emergency council chamber felt smaller than usual. 7 civilizations, represented by their highest leaders, sat in a circle. In the center stood Admiral Park and Dr. Han, surrounded by holographic displays showing the demonstration footage. Outside the chamber, hundreds of diplomats and officials waited for the decision that would shape galactic politics for generations. Council Prime Thexler spoke first, his ancient voice heavy with concern. Admiral Park, humanity stands accused of possessing weapons that threaten the fabric of reality itself. Your quantum disruptors were active during the demonstration. We have confirmed this through sensor logs. Park did not deny it. Yes, Council Prime, someone activated them without authorization. We are investigating who and why. That is irrelevant, a Kryn general declared. Harshly, the fact remains that you have these weapons, you have deployed them on military vessels, you must surrender this technology or face immediate quarantine. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. Quarantine, you mean blockade? Earth cut off our trade, isolate our civilization. That is not justice, that is punishment for innovation. Innovation. Zelthak stood, his crystalline body rigid with tension. You call reality breaking weapons innovation? These quantum disruptors could tear apart space itself. We have sensor data now. We know what they can do. Dr. Han raised her hand with respect. High engineer, you do not know what they can do. You know what your sensors suggest they might do. There is a significant difference. Then explain. Commanded, tell this council exactly what quantum disruptors do. No more secrets. Han took a deep breath. Quantum disruptors create micro-singularities at targeted locations. These singularities exist for only microseconds, but during that time they create intense gravitational shear. In theory, if improperly controlled, these shears could cascade and tear holes in local space. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several delegates stood, shouting accusations. Chen had to raise her hands repeatedly for order. You built weapons that could destroy reality. A delegate screamed. We built weapons that could affect space. Han corrected firmly. And then we learned how to control them. We tested them in isolated pocket dimensions. We ran thousands of simulations. We know their limits. A Vorline scientist spoke from the observation deck. Dr. Han, your testing methodology was insane by our standards. You activated these weapons before fully understanding their consequences. No, Han said sharply, we activated them after understanding their mathematics. The only way to truly know a technology is to build it and test it. Theoretical understanding is not enough. Every human scientist working on this project knew the risks. We accepted them. Park added, and we learned something crucial. These weapons are terrifying. Yes, but they are also controllable. We understand how they work now. That knowledge makes the galaxy safer, not more dangerous. The Zala raised a hand for silence. Admiral Park, I am 10,000 years old. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I know that forbidden knowledge seems safe to those who discover it. Right until it destroys them. He looked at Park with ancient sadness. Why did humanity pursue this research? Why take such terrible risks? Park met his gaze steadily. Because we had to know if it was possible. If we could theorize quantum disruptors, so could others. Would you prefer we encountered such weapons while ignorant of how they function? I would prefer such weapons never exist at all. Thexar replied. That preference requires controlling what people think. Park said quietly, ideas cannot be uninvented. The mathematics exist, the physics exists. Anyone with sufficient knowledge could theorize these weapons. Would you ban mathematics itself? A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber. Park pressed his advantage. Esteemed council, humanity has a history with dangerous technology, nuclear weapons, biological warfare, artificial intelligence. Each time we face technology that could end our civilization, each time we had a choice: ban it and hope no one else develops it. or understand it and learn to control it. Chen spoke up. We chose understanding not because we are brave, but because ignorance kills. When nuclear weapons were developed, humans tried to ban them, but other nations built them anyway. The ban only meant those who followed it were vulnerable. We learned that lesson painfully. So you built weapons that break reality, because you feared others might do so. First, Zelthax asked, we built them to understand them, Han emphasized. Knowledge is not the same as intent. We can build quantum disruptors. We have no intention of using them except in desperate circumstances. Park activated a new holographic display, but that brings us to why we truly built the Paradox-class fleet. Council members, I need to show you something. The display shifted to show deep space sensor data, strain, gravitational readings, massive distortions in space-time, energy, signatures that made no sense by conventional physics. What am I looking at? Thier asked. This data comes from deep space monitoring stations humanity established in the outer galactic rim. Park explained. We detected this anomaly 5 years ago. It is approaching the galaxy from intergalactic space. He enhanced the image based on current velocity and trajectory. This object or entity will reach the galactic edge in approximately 200 years. A CR scientist stood. That is your justification. Something that will not arrive for 2 centuries. You misunderstand. Park said 200 years. Sounds like a long time. It is not. By the time this object enters the galaxy, it will take decades more to prepare adequate defenses. If we start now, we might have enough time. Might. Dr. Han brought up additional data, but there is more. This anomaly uses technology similar to ours, not identical but based on similar principles: quantum manipulation, space-time distortion. The readings are familiar because we developed similar technology independently. The implications crashed through the chamber like a shockwave. Zelthax stared at the data in horror. You are saying this entity, whatever it is, already has technology like yours. We are saying someone out there already broke the rules you think should not be broken. Han confirmed. They did it before we did. And based on the scale of these readings, they did it much more powerfully than we have. Park continued grimly. We detected this 5 years ago with sensors based on quantum uncertainty principles, sensors that only work because we pursued research you call impossible. Our standard sensors would never have seen it. Your standard sensors cannot see it now. Prove it. Thexel commanded. Park transmitted coordinates to the council's sensor network. Point your most advanced sensors at these coordinates. You will detect nothing unusual. Now activate these sensor modifications we are providing. It took several minutes to adjust the galactic sensor array. When the modified sensors activated, every delegate in the chamber saw the same impossible readings humanity had been tracking for 5 years. The silence was absolute. Finally, Thexler spoke, his voice shaken. This reading is confirmed by every human station monitoring that region of space. Park confirmed. We have watched it approach for 5 years. We built the Paradox-class fleet because conventional technology will not be sufficient. A Vorline scientist asked the question everyone was thinking. How do you know conventional technology will not work? Park's expression became grim. Because 3 months ago we sent a Probe to investigate more closely. It was destroyed by weapons we had never seen before, weapons that use quantum disruption on a massive scale. This entity, whatever it is, has technology similar to our quantum disruptors, but much larger, much more powerful, Dr. Han added quietly. You accused us of building weapons that should not exist. We built them because someone out there already has them. We built them to survive. The council chamber erupted in emergency discussions. Delegates shouted. Questions demanded more data, argued about the threat level. Some still doubted, others were already calculating defense scenarios. Thixeler raised his hands for silence. If this is true, everything changes. Admiral Park, why did you not share this information immediately? Park smiled without humor. Would you have believed us before seeing our ships work, before understanding that impossible technology can be real? We had to prove our capability first. Otherwise, you would have dismissed this threat the same way you dismissed our technology. Zelthax approached the holographic display, studying the anomaly data carefully. 200 years, maybe less if it accelerates. It has accelerated 3 times in the past 5 years. Han confirmed. Each time it moves faster. We estimate we actually have 150 years, maybe less. The chamber fell silent again as the reality settled over everyone. An unknown threat using reality-breaking technology was approaching the galaxy and humanity. The newest and youngest galactic civilization was the only one who had developed tools to detect it and potentially fight it. Thixar looked at Park with new understanding. Your impossible ships, your terrifying weapons, all of it was preparation. All of it, Park confirmed. We did not pursue this research carelessly. We pursued it desperately because we saw what was coming and we knew we were not ready. A cringe general spoke grudgingly. You should have told us sooner. Park met his gaze. Would you have listened, or would you have called us alarmist, fear-mongers, humans trying to justify dangerous research? No one answered because everyone knew the truth. They would not have listened. Thexar stood, his decision made. This changes everything. If what Admiral Park says is true, we do not have time for fear or doubt. We have time only for preparation. 6 months after the summit crisis, the Joint Research Facility on New Sol hummed with activity. Scientists from all 7 civilizations worked side by side with human researchers. Atmosphere was tense but productive. Old prejudices died slowly, but necessity drove cooperation faster than diplomacy ever could. Dr. Han walked through the main laboratory, observing the mixed teams at work. A Vorline mathematician argued physics with a human engineer. Kren, weapons specialist, studied quantum field generators alongside researchers from Earth. Every day brought new discoveries as alien precision met human creativity. High engineer Zelthax approached her, carrying data tablets filled with calculations. His crystalline form seemed less rigid than before, as if months of working with humans had softened some of his certainty. Dr. Han, I must admit something, he said quietly. We were wrong, not about the danger of your technology that remains very real, but about its necessity. After 6 months of work, I finally understand why humanity pursued these paths. Han smiled. What changed your mind? Zelthax gestured to the teams around them. Working with your people Watching how you think, Vorn science. Seeks elegant certain solutions, we. Avoid uncertainty because unpredictability seems like failure, but humans treat uncertainty as opportunity. We have no choice, Han replied. Our technology always lagged behind yours. Elegant solutions were already taken. We had to explore messy, uncertain approaches because the clean paths were closed to us. A young Vorn scientist rushed over, excitement clear in her movements. Dr. Han, high engineer, the planetary defense grid prototype is ready for testing. They followed her to the testing chamber. Inside a massive containment field, a scale model of a planetary defense system hummed with power. It combined human quantum field technology with Vorn mathematical precision. Result was something neither civilization could have built alone. Begin test sequence, Han commanded. System activated, generating a shimmering field that surrounded the model planet. Automated weapons fired at the field from multiple angles. Each impact made the shield stronger, just like the Paradox-class ship shields, but this version covered an entire world. Energy efficiency is 94%, the Vorling scientist reported, far beyond our initial estimates. The mathematical optimizations you provided made this possible. High engineer Zelthax studied the readings with satisfaction and the quantum uncertainty dampeners Dr. Han designed allow the field to remain stable despite planetary rotation. Neither of our civilizations could achieve this alone. Han nodded. This is just the beginning. If we can protect planets, we can protect entire systems. As they left the testing chamber, Zelthax asked, have there been new developments regarding the anomaly? Han's expression darkened. Yes and not good ones. I was about to call in emergency meeting. An hour later, leaders from all civilizations gathered in the command center. Admiral Park stood before a massive holographic display showing the approaching threat. The energy readings had grown significantly since the initial detection. The anomaly has accelerated again, Park announced without preamble. Based on current velocity, we now estimate arrival in 100 years, not 150. We have lost 50 years. Shocked silence filled the room. Ambassador Chen added, that is not all. We sent a new probe, better protected than the last. It survived long enough to send back images before being destroyed. The holographic display shifted. What appeared made several delegates step backward in alarm. The anomaly was not a single object, it was a fleet, hundreds of ships, each larger than any vessel in known space. Their design was alien in ways that hurt to look at, as if they existed partially outside normal dimensions. They are using quantum manipulation technology on a scale we never imagined possible, Dr. Han explained. Each of those ships generates fields similar to our Paradox-class vessels, but exponentially more powerful. A cringe general asked the question everyone was thinking. Can we fight this? Park did not sugarcoat his answer with current technology. No, we would lose badly. That is why the joint research program is crucial. We need every innovation, every advantage we can develop. The Zalor studied the images thoughtfully. These ships use quantum technology, but they are also broadcasting something. Can you translate it? Park nodded to a communications officer. Strange sounds filled the chamber, harmonic but wrong. like music played in dimensions humans could not fully perceive, but beneath the alien tones a message emerged. The translation system struggled, but key concepts came through. Harvest, consume, expand, the message repeated endlessly. No negotiation, no communication, just simple declaration of intent. They are coming to consume our galaxy, Park said. Flatly, they have done this before. These ships are not explorers or traders, they are harvesters, ambassador. Chen spoke up, trying to find diplomatic solutions. Even now, could we negotiate? Find out what they want, perhaps offer an alternative. They have already told us what they want, Thixar said sadly. Everything. They do not seek negotiation any more than a farmer negotiates with wheat. The bleakness of that reality settled over the chamber. For several minutes no one spoke. Finally, a Vorling counselor asked, "What do we do?" Park straightened and his voice gained strength. "We do what humanity has always done when facing extinction. We refuse to accept it. We build, we innovate, we prepare, and we fight." He activated new displays showing construction schedules, research programs, and fleet deployment plans. The Galaxy 7 Council has approved the Defense Initiative. All civilizations will contribute resources, technology, and personnel. We will build a combined fleet using the best of everyone's capabilities. Dr. Han added, the joint research program will focus on 3 priorities. First, planetary defense systems. 2, protect our worlds. Second, enhanced detection networks so this fleet cannot surprise us. Third, weapons capable of fighting quantum, manipulating enemies. Weapons like your quantum disruptors. Zelthax said. It was not a question. Yes, Han confirmed. And other systems we have not yet imagined. We have 100 years. That sounds like a long time, but it is not. We must use every moment. Over the following weeks, the initiative gained momentum. Shipyards across 7 civilizations were told for new construction. Scientists who had spent careers in their own specialized fields learned to collaborate across species barriers. Engineers combined technologies in ways that would have seemed impossible a year earlier. Captain Li Haiyan Wu received a promotion to admiral in command of the 1st Combined Fleet Wing. His crew included humans, Vorling, Kryn, and others. They trained together, learning each other's strengths and compensating for weaknesses. The first new ship launched 6 months later. It bore design elements from all 7 civilizations, but was based on human paradox class principles. They named it the GDF Unity, the first vessel of the Galaxy 7 defense fleet. At the dedication ceremony, representatives from every civilization gathered. Admiral Park stood at the podium looking out at the diverse crowd. 1 year ago you called our ships impossible, he began. You said they broke the laws of physics. You were afraid of what we had built. He paused, letting that sink in. You were right to be afraid, not because our technology is dangerous, but because we built it to face something more dangerous. He gestured to the Unity hovering in space. Beyond the viewing windows, that ship represents what we can achieve together. Human innovation, Vorling precision, Kryn strength, Etherian wisdom, every civilization's best qualities combined. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. The enemy coming toward us does not negotiate, does not trade, does not understand anything except consumption. Against such a threat, we have only one choice: stand together or fall separately. Theixler rose, his ancient form seeming stronger than before. I have lived 10,000 years. I have seen countless conflicts and crises, but never have I seen civilizations unite so quickly against a common threat. Humanity taught us something important. They taught us that impossible is not a limit, it is a challenge, Zelthax added. 1 year ago, I called Dr. Hand's work terrifying. I still do. But now I understand that sometimes we must face terrifying truths to survive. Universe is not safe. It is not predictable. It does not care about our comfort. We must adapt or perish. Dr. Hand stood beside the other speakers. We have 100 years, maybe less if the enemy accelerates again. That is not enough time to be perfect, but it is enough time to be ready if we work together. If we refuse to accept defeat. If we choose to believe that survival is possible. The ceremony ended with the Unity departing on its first patrol. Aboard the ship, a mixed crew worked in harmony. That would have seemed impossible a year earlier. Human captains learned from Vorley navigators, Kryn warriors, respected human tactics. Every species brought something valuable. In the deep space, monitoring stations, sensors tracked the approaching fleet. 100 years and closing, but now instead of one young civilization watching helplessly, 7 civilizations worked together to build defenses in research facilities. Across the galaxy, scientists pursued impossible ideas. Some would fail, many would fail, but some would succeed, and those successes would save worlds. In shipyards orbiting a 100 stars, vessels under construction grew larger and more powerful. Each ship represented collaboration between species who barely understood each other. A year before, Admiral Park stood on the bridge of his flagship looking at the star charts. The enemy fleet was highlighted in red, slowly but inevitably approaching around it. Blue markers showed the Galaxy 7 defense network expanding to meet it. 100 years, he said quietly to himself. It will be enough. It has to be enough. Dr. Hand joined him, having come aboard to inspect new systems. Do you think we will win? Park considered the question carefully. I think we will fight with everything we have, using every impossible innovation we can imagine. That is what humans do. That is what the galaxy does now. He smiled slightly. Harvesters chose the wrong galaxy to consume. Far out in the darkness, the enemy fleet continued its approach, but for the first time in their endless harvest, across galaxies they were heading toward prey that would not simply wait to be consumed. 7 civilizations had learned to work together. They had learned to pursue impossible goals. They had learned that the human quality of refusing to accept defeat was not recklessness, it was survival, and in 100 years they would show the harvesters what impossible really meant. The galaxy prepared for war, not with fear but with determination. Not separately but together, the humans had unveiled ships that should not exist. Now the galaxy would build an alliance that should not be possible. Because sometimes the only way to survive is to make the impossible real.